So I'm right on West Bar roundabout, and what I thought I'd do is a quick tour of the St Vincent's area. And what's happening is it's completely been turned over from being light engineering into flats. Just over here, where you can see that big warehouse, that yellow warehouse, that was the Don Picture House. And there's a pub next to it, I can never remember its name, but that's not a pub anymore, it's just coming off Paradise Street, Paradise Square down there. But I'm on what was the old Penistone Road. So it used to be much easier to get onto Penistone Road, come straight through town. And then they decided to force you outside the town to get on it. I think it's a journey that's probably 2 or 3 times longer. It worked before, but the powers that be wanted their ring road. But I just thought I'd capture what last little bit of history there is around this area of Sheffield. It's completely industrial at one bit, but it's not anymore. We'll just go down there because I think there's a few interesting pubs around this corner. But I've just done a freedom of information request to Sheffield Council and they never gave me a clear information on the actual number of flats in Sheffield city centre, which doesn't say a lot for the planning department. In the end, they said that it's probably 30,000 people living in the city centre. But you think a planning department would know exactly how many flats there were and what well, not the occupancy, but how many people were held in all those flats. It's real Sheffield just round here. So looking across to Kelham Island area over there. Well, this would have probably been the old Penistone Road because I think it came around the corner from Gibraltar Street. See the old cobble street there. Just have a quick look how much parking is here. But I think we had a massive opportunity to actually upgrade our industry, the brand, the cutlery brand. Silverware and light engineering in Sheffield and around this area. But now what they were bothered about is student flats. Seem to be working hand in glove with the university because it's all about getting students into flats and into university degrees. I mean, these are old industrial buildings from the 19th century and they look far nicer than the modern builds, even though, yeah, they're looking run down now. You can see all this area was once like this with loads of engineering jobs. And I think a lot of the time, I don't think the engineering companies shut down. I think they forced out. They'll use environmental laws against them, because if they want to build flats in this area, they'll do everything to force them out. You used to be able to park all around St Vincent's area, but then they started putting double yellow lines in everywhere. But my idea is just to document it, because I don't know what this will be saved, because the whole character goes, as you'll find out as we get further into St Vincent's. You'll start to see just how many high-rise flats there are. Well, I'm just going to snake round the outside and then I'll come back in, and then I'll give you a real idea of the contrast. But I mean, look at the moment, I mean the road's just, there's that many obstructions now on the road, and I think 30 mile an hour on a dual carriageway is a joke. It should be 40 mile an hour on this dual carriageway. We have a single carriageway road where I live between Dinnington and Wharton, that's a 40 mile an hour. And this is a dual carriageway. So I think this has been updated to flats of some kind. We will start to come into this area in a moment. We'll just go around the edge. And that'll take you across to the Kelham Island area over there. And what they're doing is a bit of an insult to our heritage and what Sheffield was built on. And you just see here, these are, I don't know what they are, but they made them out of steel canisters and they're already going bad. You can see the rust on that section of it. Still got the old pub around here. Shipping just there. But we'll now come round the corner into St Vincent's. I just wanted to fully document it for the future, because it's just going to be square boxes once they've got their hands on it. So we're now on Oil Street, and just here where they cleared it off, there's going to be more flats, part of a £67 million investment in Neaps End and Furnace Hill area. So this bit is called Furnace Hill, but it's the St Vincent's area, and this was an head office building for HSBC that probably had about 500 people in it. Prior to that it was an industrial building. You can see here we're on Doncaster Street. We've got a cementation furnace here, and we could have a bit more love for this, I think. So there's a bit of problem with fly tipping around here. I don't think the 24-hour CCTV is working. But the interesting thing on this little area is archaeological investigation, so I'd really be interested to know what's going on in there. But they've got like Nissan huts, I think they call them round here. But this was a whole street down here, and it's just completely been blocked off. But you can see that'll be the next building for the chop. And a lot of the buildings probably do need knocking down, but we're replacing them with the wrong thing. We've not played on our brand in Sheffield, and I will be down at Nottingham next weekend, and I'm told that Nottingham is actually worse than Sheffield, which I'm going to be really surprised about. I'm told that they are even more focusing on students than Sheffield, but I think somebody may have got it wrong. I'm sure Sheffield's worse than Nottingham. Now this looks like a modern build. Or it is a modern build. So we're just on Doncaster Street. But we're now going to start moving into where the modern flats are. But to me, this is what caused a lot of the industry to leave. It was all this stupidness, double yellows everywhere. But when you're on a shift 6 till 2, you need your car. There's no bus service anymore. I'm assuming this is brick built and not just a brick covering. But it used to be so active round here, smells, noises. And vibrancy, but not anymore. But I'm imagining that a lot of these little businesses will get pushed out. A lot of them will just say, well, do you know, there's no point restarting, we'll just not get the support. You can see just stuck in these places, little engineering companies. It gets harder and harder for them to function. There used to be a saying, where there's muck there's money. But now they see student debt has been the way forward. You can burden the students with debt, but probably only 25% of that debt will ever get paid back. That debt's been offloaded on you and me. But if we'd had the same amount of investment in our industries we had in the banking sector in the 90s, we'd have a modern industry now that was providing some wealth to the UK. But I think we all know what happened. I think there was a deal between the Germans and the British, that we'd have the actual banking industry and they'd have the industrial area. But I think there must be 20,000 flats within this St Vincent, or room for 20,000 people in these flats within the St Vincent area. We're now on Scotland Street. I'll just nip down to Scotland Street and then I'll come back to that point. It's just, as you can see, it's just packed with student flats around here. Could say it was being gentrified. Now, there used to be a pub called the Queen's down here, and I think I've got it on one of my old videos. I'll just come back and show you that building from the other side. So you can see that's Echo Theatre Arts, vintage clothing, furniture, accessories and jewellery. So you could park all along Scotland Street when I worked around here, but they've just made it very limited now. There's restrictions on it. It's really nice of them to call it the Ironworks, isn't it? I think that was somewhere where the Queen's Hotel was. So here we've got the New Connection Methodist Church. I've got a video on that. It's recently been sold. I don't know whether it's just been a business place rather than a Methodist church for a long time, but I don't know what's going off with that. So we're nearly down at Tenter Street, and I'll just show you this, where you can see Hampton Hotel. That was West Bar Police Station. My granddad was chief inspector there when it was opened. We've just got the not three cranes pub. I'll tell you what it is in a minute. So we've got the Crow Inn, But these have all come since 2000, all these high rises. They weren't there when I left HSBC. What I'll do is I'll just sneak back through to where I mentioned earlier. So here we are on Furnace Hill. The sign says, and just here where it says Uniplex, this is a Sheffield company that makes tuning forks. It started off with, I think, musical, and one's for the pharmaceutical type industry, and then they actually diverged into producing the ones that I buy. More the healing ones, and they're a good price as well, to say they're made in Sheffield. So you can see an example of the flats around here. Probably going to be £6,000 cheapest a year for a rabbit hutch. I know that it's £1,000 a month for a 1 bedroom. And other developments in Sheffield, I'd say that probably student ones, they're probably even smaller. You can get them for £6,000 as opposed to £6,000 a year, as opposed to £12,000 a year for a 1 bedroom. That's all that Sheffield City Council is concerned about now. We're all on their 15-minute smart city, and they're using students to drive that agenda. So like when I was at work, you could park around here no problem, and what they did is you could park further up towards Tenter Street. You could park up right nearly on Tenter Street at one bit, and then what they did is they started extending the double yellow areas. Have a quick look down here, see what I can find down here. There's an awful lot of Chinese students around here. You can see that from the signage. As you can see, this is already deteriorating on the outside of these flats. I'm sure it's not done like that for effect. So we've already been around that area. You can see even more around here. I'm going to estimate there's 20,000 spaces in the St Vincent area alone for flats. Now we've got a police place here, and it doesn't seem to be occupied, so I don't know if it's just a warehouse of some kind, but we can't have local police stations, but you can leave these large buildings like this looking pretty empty. It's massive, this building, so it would have been an old engineering company. Now we don't seem to have learnt anything from the 1950s. We put everybody in high rises, but in those days the high rises had loads of green space around them. There's absolutely zero green space around here. And I think the build quality is actually poorer than the 1950s. And I think we'll be finding that out in the next 10-20 years. But you can see more of the older flats there that have been there from, I'm not sure, pre-war or after the Second World War. But you know, this is just like unbelievable around here. Say I used to park my car here. Never had it broke into because it was so busy with engineering companies around here. So that's round the back of that big police building. You can see there's hardly any cars in here. Not exactly using the building very well. But this area is named after St Vincent's Church, which used to tower over this area. And it's actually behind all these student flats now. You thought we could have produced better even architecture than even this in the modern era. I wasn't happy with the 19th century stuff. I thought we could improve on it, but we aren't. So that's Provincial House, whatever that. Oh, that's another student now. I'm looking at the writing on it. You can see St Vincent's something. You probably read that better at home than me. But you can see it going back up to the older flats up there, which will probably be here in 100 years' time, whereas the more modern flats but I couldn't think of the word before. It smells, sounds and noise that used to be around here, with the clanking, the smell of oil. Footprint Tools was around here. Everything's got the university stamped on it, but it's not private money. The university, they're using yours and ours money. Like the student debts, I said, like only probably 25% of it's going to get paid back, and the rest of it's you and me paying for it. So it's not really private money, it's our money. It'll be coming from students getting loans from the government. So coming down onto top end of Tenter Street, I just want to show you this building here I've just noticed. But this area originally was, probably back in the early 19th century, was full of housing and also industry, and then what they decided to do is move the people out of the city centre, which to me was a good idea. But now they're doing exactly the opposite now. I'm moving them back in. So we've got Croft House Community Centre, but that, as you can see, look at that window on it. It's pretty awful with concrete on it though. Just get back up there and I'll just do the last bit down either Holliscroft or Solly Street. As you can see, it's looking like Sheffield's version of Chinatown round here. So we're on Solly Street. I've got Solly Street and Holliscroft mixed up in the past. But this is the back end of St Vincent's Church. I'll just go to the brow of the hill and just show you from here. But how many people do you reckon these flats in this area house from my journey round? But I just looked at some of the parking. Even on a Saturday you can only park on these areas for 2 hours if you're lucky to find a spot. Back end of St Vincent's there. Be interesting to know what that is beneath there. If you look at, there's like archways underneath. But they've narrowed a lot of these roads, whereas it was quite comfortable to get cars and lorries up and down here in both directions. Another part of St Vincent's at the back there. But like I said, you still get the odd company. But would you move into a business round here at the moment? What they've done to Tenter Street is absolutely disgraceful. But I don't know if these are new flats or existing ones that are having work done on them already. You can just see it's just absolutely everywhere around here. To me these look like existing ones that are already failing, because that's existing brickwork, that, and you can see scaffolding on it above. So we're coming back down to Tenter Street down here. I'll just nip back down Holliscroft and show you from that angle. So I was round Leeds last weekend and Manchester, I think a couple of weeks before that. There was no graffiti around Leeds or Manchester that I saw anyway, and it's all over Sheffield. I mean, these are modern builds around here. So let's have a quick look over here. This is all the St Vincent's area. Just see, it's all going to be these awful flats. It feels really oppressive around here. So we're now coming on to Holliscroft. Anybody who worked with me at HSBC, and if they saw Holliscroft now as I'm actually going to show them, they wondered if they were in a twilight zone. It feels so tunnelled up here. And I'm trying to think of the name now. I've got Tool Station in my head, but it's not Tool Station. Tool Print Tools was down here. I'm guessing they were forced out. I think they're still at Hillsborough, but I don't think the company's doing quite what it was in the past, because you can't replace what you've had in the past when they force you out of an area. This is so oppressive round here. We used to park up and down here before they start sticking double yellow lines on here. You can see a little bit of Sheffield history there. This was no more than 1 or 2 stories high around here. Just here you can see St Vincent's Church that used to tower above it, and this is the first time you'll have noticed it, so that just shows you what's actually happened. This always towered above everywhere else, and now you can only see this when you come around to this little bit of area. We're just hiding our past. But if I carry on down here, we'll come to Tenter Street. Like I said, we parked up and down here. The Royal Oak pub was down here, Royal Oak Bakery. But it's just like rabbit hutches around here now, as you can see. Well, that's the only view you ever get of St Vincent's anymore. You wouldn't even known it were there till that last little bit. So that's it, that's a tour around St Vincent's area. I want to capture absolutely everything, because the rest of it shortly will be nothing but square flats like these. So that's it, end of the tour.